And our mission is to create a more peaceful and productive world through authentic human connections among diverse groups of people. And so we actually think that exposing people to these authentic interactions with other people makes the world a more peaceful and productive place.
Welcome to the Go Hunt Life Show, hosted by Todd Nevins.
This is Todd Nevins, and I explore stories about people that had seemingly normal lives and careers going, but they pulled the ripcord and blew up their comfort bubbles to hunt down their life that they had always dreamed of living. On the show today, I speak with Greg Caplan, and he's the founder of Remote Year, and their motto is, keep your job, see the world, leave the planning to us. He's created a company that allows you to pull the ripcord and see the world, but keep your job and money coming in. But he's also built a 1,500-person community of like-minded individuals from all over the world, traveling all over the world. This is how you can chase your dream life, and if you have one, still keep your dream job. Done and done. Before we get to the show, another 5-star review from Soul Trainee titled, Great Show, and the host practices what he preaches. Thank you very much, Soul Trainee. Please keep the reviews coming in. Head to Apple Podcasts to leave your own review, and I will read it on the show. And Soul Trainee is right. When this episode publishes, my wife, Allison, and I will have everything we own in our SUV road tripping across Mexico with our English Bulldog Deuce in search of adventure. Hit up our Facebook page at gohuntlife.com for live updates and videos. And now to your solution to pulling the ripcord without quitting your job. My conversation with Greg Caplan starts right after a word from our sponsor. This episode is sponsored by PrintDirtCheap.com. Jeff Chrisman, the founder of Print Dirt Cheap, started his business the way most companies begin, with grit, determination, and a vision. And now, a decade later, he's built his company into an online printing powerhouse. If I've handed you a business card in the last 4 years, it was printed by Print Dirt Cheap. And the decals all over my laptop, they printed those too. They print and ship over 30 categories of printing products, from business cards and decals to banners, company letterhead, restaurant menus, and a ton of direct mail pieces. And they have just rolled out an entirely new website, ensuring that your online user experience to place an order is simple and fast. And when you place that order, use promo code LifeHunter for $10 off. And Jeff has just launched Success Hackers, which is a global group of tenacious entrepreneurs that share the latest tips, tools, and hacks into growing a business. Check it out at facebook.com/Success Hackers. Greg, thank you for jumping on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
Where are you located in the world? And if you were to walk outside, describe what you would see.
I'm in Mexico City right now, and I'm in the Condesa area. There's this amazing street called Avenida Amsterdam, and it's a tree-lined street with a pedestrian walkway throughout. I like to take many of my calls throughout the day just walking through Avenida Amsterdam, enjoying the sort of tropical vibes in the heart of Mexico City. And when I'm between calls, I usually like to stop over and have a taco on the street because it's some of the best food in the world.
Everyone is officially jealous right now. How old are you? Are you married, and do you have kids?
Sure. I'm 29 years old, and I'm engaged. Actually, recently got engaged a couple months ago. I'll be married later this year.
Very
no
cool.
kids yet.
Congrats.
Thank you.
What is your profession and primary ways that you make money?
Sure. I'm the co-founder and CEO of a company called Remote Year. And I primarily make money by operating that company. And what we do is we provide work travel programs that are a foundation for professionals to explore the world as part of a vibrant community of professionals. And we operate 2 different programs, 4-month programs and 12-month programs. And you go either 4 or 12 months, 12 places, 1 month each, or 4 places, 1 month each, with a community of like-minded professionals.
Incredible. Through my journey with this podcast, I've interviewed over 90 people, and they had pulled the ripcord. They've pulled the ripcord to pursue something bigger and bolder. And some of them, it was incredibly painful to quit that full-time permanent position, stability, to pursue something. And other people, that's what's stopping them. I'm really curious to know the whys and hows of creating Remote Year and the specifics, but but take me back to your life before you started the company. Back in 2014 and 2015, what were you doing and where were you living before you launched?
Sure. So I was living in Chicago, working at Groupon actually, and it was very much a 9-to-5 situation. And I was doing that for a while, and ultimately I just kind of felt stuck. I had the same commute every day. I would put in my same 8 hours. It just, wasn't really what I was looking for. So I spent some time lining up remote work. And one night at dinner, I asked my group of best friends, do you guys want to go get remote jobs and travel around the world together? And they all kind of looked at me like I was crazy and said, that doesn't make any sense. But I'm all about community. Whenever I do anything, I start with who and not what. And I love having big groups of people around. So when my friends wouldn't go and travel with me, I put up a website, who wants to travel together for a year while working remotely. There was not very much information on the website, and it was a simple email sign-up box. And I sent that to a couple friends on GChat. They sent that to a couple friends. And the first day, over 1,000 people signed up.
No way.
Absolutely crazy.
All right. So how are you going to... Groupon's a dynamic company. It's a fast-paced tech company. I mean, why not stay there? Like, sounds like a pretty cool gig. What would have been the risk of staying?
There wasn't really a risk of staying, but I was looking for more. I wanted to explore the world. I wanted to meet new people, have invigorating experiences to understand what's going on out there. And I was fortunate in that I met a couple folks who I started some remote freelance engagements with. So I had the ability to work from anywhere, and I said, if I can set that up for myself, why not? So I was, while I was launching Remote Year, doing some freelance marketing work, which I think is a really great field for remote. Marketing is actually, at Remote Year, our largest category of people participating. Most of them actually full-time employees, not freelancers. But marketing is one of the categories that is best done remotely, even bigger than software engineering for us, which is crazy.
How did you start finding clients that needed help with their marketing efforts?
It was all networking. I think most jobs, most professions are found through networking, especially most remote work. Remote work is a new relationship. It's a different kind of thing. A lot of companies aren't as comfortable and used to it. So it helps a lot to have a relationship with people. They understand your professional abilities, your professional style. And whenever I talk to people about how do you find remote work, I always say to people to start with their network. Talk to people that that you've worked with before, that have that familiarity and that trust. Because trust is a really big component of all kinds of work. But in-person work, there's this proxy of trust, which is watching over someone's shoulder, which I think is a corrosive, bad relationship, but is a proxy for trust in some people's minds. And remote work requires a different level of trust and autonomy to make sure that the great work happens.
Did you have to learn any new skills in marketing to get these clients and go remote?
No. So throughout my career, I spent a lot of time in different parts of the marketing function, and I was able to apply that to the freelance work that I was doing, which was really great for me. Marketing is a dynamically changing, really interesting field, and I think if you don't have any marketing skills in any line of work, I think you should spend some time learning marketing, because it's part of, I think, everything that we do, marketing and selling.
All right. Well, then that day you have 1,000 people sign up on a very basic sign up form and a very basic website. Was that the light bulb moment of, wait a minute, I've got something here?
It was a series of things. I didn't quite know that it would evolve to be what it is today. It's gotten, to touch a lot of people's lives. It's impacted lots of different things. And then it was really, can I find a group of people to do this with while I am continuing to work remotely and freelance? I was looking for that community, and it didn't really exist out there. And I was trying to build it because I really wanted it to be there. So then I didn't know, and it took a while before I started to realize that this would be something more than just finding a couple people to go and have this adventure with together.
From that day to the day that you quit your job, what period of time was that?
It was the same day.
What?
Well, so I lined up the remote work. So I was going to quit my job regardless. and I put up this site to find people the same day I quit my job.
Okay. Oh my gosh, I missed that. All right.
I didn't quit because Remote Year was getting success or traction. I was quitting so that I could go travel, and I launched this website that is Remote Year because I wanted on that journey to have, a community to do it with.
Solving your own problem.
Exactly.
All right. So were you planning on, you'd mentioned earlier that it's 1 month for 1 month at a time for 4 months, or you move every month for 12. Was that the plan from the beginning? Like, is that what you were going to do with your travels?
So it's actually funny. None of this was ever figured out, and there was nothing for us to look to sort of model against. And our original itinerary was actually 18 places in 12 months for between 2 and 5 weeks each. So just random places for random amounts of time. And then before we launched the itinerary that we put out there, we kind of changed some places, we removed some places, and we got down to 12 and said, with 12, it might as well just be 1 month each. It seems intuitive now looking backwards, but when you're starting these things and you have to figure out how it should work and what it should look like, none of that stuff's abundantly clear. So we sort of evolved into the 12 months, and it's really done well for us for a lot of different reasons in terms of lease lengths, in terms of moving on different cycles that people are comfortable with, in terms of immigration law is actually really favorable for that period of time. So there's a lot of different reasons why that ended up working out really nicely for us. But it was not something that, early on we knew. But the flip side of that is, from day one, I said Remote Year. It was called Remote Year, and I knew it was going to be a year. And it's been a year until very, very recently. Actually, 2 weeks ago, our first 4 month program actually launched. So that's a new thing for us, having a 4 month opportunity, and people are seeming to love it.
What's the average number of people that are on each trip? And are there multiple trips going on simultaneously?
Yeah, we have a whole bunch of them all over the world. We have at least one launching every month this year. The average is between 50 and 80 people. Some are a little bit more, some a little bit less, but I'd say a good average is 50 to 60 people is probably most of them.
That's a big group to try to get from one place to another every 30 days. The logistics alone, and your company, you take care of all of the logistics. You get 50 people on a plane together and checked into a new facility and get rolling.
Yeah, well, so we have a whole operations team, and we even have a specific travel team, and they handle all that. We do door-to-door travel, and it's really interesting. We've been able to create partnerships with airlines where we have really unique travel experiences, starting to get lounge passes and priority boarding and priority check-in, things like that. And some routes where it makes sense, we even charter our own flights, which is actually really fun. People are all on the same flight together. We're able to curate a little bit more of the experience to make it a little bit more community focused. And we love that. One thing that we did, actually, we were traveling on Halloween one year, and we were going on a longer journey, and we actually bought a bunch of stuff for people to make costumes so we could all dress up as snakes on a plane. It was a really good time. Just try to have fun with it when we have things like that going on. Travel days can be stressful for people. You're moving to a new location, you have to do all the transit, and we try to build that community and make the travel days some of the best days where you come together with the group, get to spend some quality time during the journey, and it's like people say, the journey is the destination.
Yep, that's for sure. You mentioned on your website, keep your job. Yet you said that you were a freelancer, and this certainly lines up more with people that are self-employed and freelancers. Talk to me about talk to the person that's right now sitting at their cubicle at an insurance company, and they're doing normal work, 9 to 5. How does that person come to their boss and say, hey, I've got a great idea. You're going to love this one. I'm going to go off for a year and do this cool thing, but I still want to work here. How does that work?
Sure. So we have been working with those people now for years, and building out processes to help them do that, help have that conversation. So we have this process we built called the employer approval process, and we work together with the person who wants to come on Remote Year to map the organization and the key decision makers, and together craft a business case to connect to all the specific points of their specific job and the company's initiatives on how this makes sense and what the benefits are, and how it's actually going to work. But there's some macro trends happening that are making this more and more possible, right? The remote work culture has been built on this amazing technology and set of tools that empower great work to be done from anywhere. Like we're Skyping, internationally right now. But there's all kinds of tools that empower great work to be done digitally and remotely. And you're seeing that start to unfold in the trends, right? Great people are demanding that flexibility. And it went from the fringes very recently into the mainstream. Now 52% of people now work at least part-time remotely. 31% of people work at least 80% of the time remotely. So there is a crazy, crazy trend happening that more and more people are able to do this. And my guess is people have the opportunity to work remotely at least part of the time. And what we're helping them do is make the case for a little bit more percentage of their time being done remotely. And we help them map their actual function and role and have that conversation internally through the set of processes and tools that we've built. So it is definitely a complex ask, but there's a lot of benefits of the company to doing so. And we can help folks that want to have that conversation with their company. All they have to do is come on our site, do a consultation with one of our program consultants, and then they'll work with them to actually have that conversation together.
What typically are and you call them remotes, correct? Your clients like it. What typically are your remotes looking for? I mean, is it inspiration, travel, a remote job adventure, or what's the underlying deeper reason that you hear most frequently?
Yeah, it's various. So I think frequently people come on our programs because they're excited about the travel adventure experience, but they end up loving it and loving Remote Year because of the community. This is a group of like-minded people, and you build these relationships that are so unique in their depth. For most people in adulthood, there's not a lot of opportunities to have that kind of connection with that shared experience. And that's why people are building these crazy strong relationships, and our community is so, so strong. But it's hard for people before they come in the program to really wrap their heads around the value of that community and how that's actually going to unfold for them. But once they get on the program and they start to have those relationships over and over again, that becomes the most valuable, most important part of the experience. And it starts with day one. That's why I did this. Community is at the core of everything that we do. And that's really why I accidentally almost created Remote Year, because I was looking for that community.
Support for this podcast and the following message comes from Click Placement, a digital agency designing Google AdWords and pay-per-click marketing strategies for startups, small businesses, and even people building a side hustle. Hit up clickplacement.com to start a conversation. If you would like to personally support the Go Hunt Life podcast, go to patreon.com/Go Hunt Life to make a donation.
How do you go through a couple of requirements you have to apply to do this? I mean, what are some of the knockout factors other than your boss won't let you? Like, are there personal knockout factors that are red flags, whether it's kids at home, how does a person's personal life come into play when you're determining you're accepted or not?
So we actually believe in inclusivity. So we want to make this possible for as many people as we can. And we've moved away from the nomenclature around application. It's people fill out a profile, complete their profile, and then when we have what's called a program consultation, right? And so what we want to do is make sure it's a mutual fit. And so we don't knock people out, but we help people to understand, is this the right fit for them? Like, do they have these different kinds of considerations? Do they make this amount of money, which we've seen people need to be successful on the program? So we work with people to try to make sure that if people come, it's the right fit for them and it's the right fit for us, and they're going to be successful on the program. But we don't disqualify people. We don't sort of accept people in the traditional sense that you're talking about. We just try to work with folks to make sure that this is the right fit for them, for the right time, for the right situation. And that's part of why we introduced the 4-month experience. For a lot of folks, a 12-month experience wasn't the right fit the way that it was structured. So we created a new offering that made it possible for more folks that we're talking to that we thought were great and could potentially do this if it were a little bit shorter.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. What if somebody is 8 months into a program and there's a personal emergency back home, or they lose their job, or they just want to stop? What's the option?
Sure. So people can stop for any reason. And the way that we've structured the cost of the 12-month program, it's $5,000 up front and then $2,000 a month for the first 11 months. And if at any point they want to stop, they could stop and they don't owe us any future payments. And the 4-month program is structured very similar, $3,000 up front and then $2,000 a month throughout the experience. And they could stop for whatever reason they need to. And we try our best to make it so that people come on for the right reasons, they have the right situation. But if something changes and that's not the right fit for them any longer, that's totally fine. And we actually have a process that they can become alumni, which we call citizens, even if they don't complete the entire experience, because we think it's valuable that they're part of our community and we continue to provide value and that structure for them even beyond the 12-month or 4-month experience.
What's the average date range? How old are they?
Oh, the average date range. We have people everything from 21 to 65. So it's super, super diverse.
Wow. Yeah, I guess age range, not date range. 21 to 65.
Yeah, we think inclusivity is great. And there's people throughout their lives that have different reasons why this makes sense for them and why they're available to do this. We've had lots of interesting people come on the program. We've had people from 40 different countries. So it's super diverse. Obviously, we could always be more diverse. We're a U.S. company, so we do have a pretty heavy share of people from the United States, but we do have a ton of people from all over the world as well. So it's a really diverse group of people. And like I said, vocationally, what people do on the program is super diverse. The majority do work full time for one company, but what they do at those companies is all across the board. People in sales and operations and finance, accounting, writers, lawyers, journalists, just super diverse group of people across all different vectors. And that's part of what makes this kind of experience so magical.
And no kids, adults only?
Well, the youngest we've had so far is 21. I think there's some other complications and challenges when you get much younger than that. We don't preclude that, but again, we try to work with people to make sure that this is going to be a good fit for them. And we do make sure that people have a very clear professional plan in the program. So I think with kids, it might be a little bit more challenging in some cases.
How much does it cost for a year? What is it again? You rattled through the numbers. What are they again?
Our year-long program is $5,000 up front and $2,000 for the first 11 months for a total of $27,000 USD. It looks a lot like rent, right? Like $2,000 a month. And our 4-month program is $3,000 a month and then $2,000 a month for all 4 months. So it's $11,000 total for the 4-month experience.
And what is included? The transportation, housing, not food?
Spot on. So it's all the travel between destinations, door to door. It's private room, apartment style living accommodations. It's shared workspace because we want to provide an amazing working experience for people, and events and activities throughout each month. So we have our events and activities are actually amazing. We have a full-time person in each city that we're in whose sole job is to plan what we call tracks. And tracks are an intention-based thematic set of experiences throughout the month. And each month, people pick one of between 3 and 5 tracks. And an example of a track is in Mexico City, we have this great track that we run that's around sustainability. So it starts out where you go into the market and there's this farmer who takes this food scraps from the market and actually puts those in to make fertilizer for his very organic and sustainable gardening in an urban environment. And then the next is you go to this restaurant called Los Losers, which is a vegan-owned restaurant started by 2 women. And so you learn about the farm-to-table dining in Mexico City. And then finally, you do a thing called Cooking with Grandmas, where you go into the homes of a local grandmothers and learn how to cook the local cuisines and traditions for them. So we have these tracks, which are very unique, authentic activities planned by our local patriotic experience lead. And they take you on this journey throughout the month with a smaller group. And so that's a huge part of what we provide. And that local team providing that authentic experience is super unique and differentiated for the people that are on our program.
How many cities do you go to and visit around the world?
So on our 4-month program, you go to 4 places for 1 month each. And our year-long program, you go to 12 places for 1 month each. But we operate in a whole bunch of different cities, and different itineraries go to different places.
So it's not all, you have more than 12 cities around the world that you go to.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Man, after this 12 months, how do people go back to their old lives?
Well, so people frequently go back to their old lives, but everyone has a slightly different story, right? Some people continue to live this remote lifestyle and end up staying, moving around. Some people set up a home base and they move around from there, but they're pretty, fixed in that one place. And some people go back to one place, and that's where they are structured and stable. And so we have huge communities actually of our alumni, which we call citizens, in many major cities across the world. So we actually have some events and activities that we do in those cities so they can stay connected to the community even while they're in office doing their role wherever they are. And into the future, we're going to start building out more and more of that so people can remain engaged in our community even when they do go back and are working 9 to 5 or whatever it is in their desk. But we've seen lots and lots of people grow a lot, both personally, but more importantly, professionally throughout the experience. So we had this one person at ANZ who throughout the year obviously grew a lot professionally, but her company recognized it so distinctly that she got 2 promotions throughout the experience. So she actually, she's back in her office environment where she was before the experience, but at a much more elevated role within the company because of the growth that happened while the journey.
Amazing. That is awesome. You posted an article on LinkedIn on September 2016 titled, "Why Travel Will Help You Find Your Purpose and Change the World." Can you give me another example of that?
Well, I think travel is really interesting, right? It takes you out of your normal context and it exposes you to all these new different things. And for me personally, traveling, you see all these different things and you get comfortable with some of them and uncomfortable about other parts of them, right? And you see them happening over and over again. And the thing that sticks with you that makes you really uncomfortable is probably an issue that's important to you, right? And so you find that issue through these diverse experiences, and then you could start to say, okay, where do they do well with that? Where do they do poorly with that? How can I start to do work to help the places that don't do as well with this core issue? That issue could be sustainability and climate change. It could be poverty. It could be access to water. It could be education. It could be all different things that people find important that stick with them when they have these sort of diverse experiences. And then that global travel sort of opens your eyes to what it is that's important for you to leave your mark on the world. And then through that experience with travel, you build up all these competencies around leadership, around comfort with change in decision making, around innovation. And so you build this tool set throughout this experience that you could find the issue that's important to you and have the tools to start to act on it and make an impact actually on the world. So I think people's impact on the world could be small, it could be huge, right? And positive impact is a huge part of what we do every single day. And we have ongoing partners in every city where we are attacking one core issue ongoing with all the groups that come through, but every group has their own flavor of what they find important, and we try to give them the tools to actually give back and make an impact. But a lot of people have taken it beyond just the experience, and they've been working on all kinds of projects to help the communities that we've been in and other communities based on the experience that they've had and the tools that they've built throughout the experience to really leave their mark in the world and make it a better place.
What's the most difficult issue that you're tackling right now, and what city is that in?
Well, there's all kinds. Well, there's lots of groups doing amazing work, but right now, one of our programs, we give each of our programs a name, and one of our programs called Yugen is actually building 58 homes in Argentina. So it's really amazing what they're doing. They're raising money, but also putting in work to facilitate the story, to facilitate the operations, to facilitate the whole thing. So we're literally putting meaningful amounts of families into homes, but it's not remote Europe, right? We're the platform, and it's the people on the program who are saying this is an issue that's important to them, and they're banding together with their community to make something happen about it. So it's really amazing to see that happen. But we've done all kinds of fun things. We've in Bolivia, they had some traffic safety issues, so we all dressed up as giraffes and spread awareness around traffic safety for a weekend. And there was in the news all kinds of fun things with it. But there's all kinds of different ways to give back. And I think it starts with listening, right? You have to listen to the local community and understand what their needs and challenges are. And then once we have that authentic connection with them, where we understand what their problems are, we can start to work with them to start to build solutions to those problems. And they take different shapes and different sizes. So we don't like to sort of dictate from a central place what that's going to look like. We like to be flexible and reactive to make sure that we're actually leaving an impact wherever we are. What
you're doing is awesome and also really, really challenging. When you're dealing with 50 to 75 different people and personalities and situations and times 12 throughout the year, what is your core motivation personally? Like, what is your why as to what keeps you going and pushing and building and doing a 4-month program and all of that? Like, what's your why?
Yeah, we spent a lot of time talking about this because we all felt internally that what we were doing was good, right? And it took us a while to really put the words behind that emotion that we all had. And so we've verbalized that in what we call our mission. And our mission is to create a more peaceful and productive world through authentic human connections among diverse groups of people. And so we actually think that exposing people to these authentic interactions with other people makes the world a more peaceful and productive place. And I think that's pretty profound, right? It's not abundantly intuitive that exposing people, just exposing them to other diverse people, makes the world more peaceful and productive, but we think that it definitely does. And we want to create those authentic human connections as much as we possibly can. And so that's what keeps me going. I think it's really amazing to see that actually unfold. So to give you one quick story, I was in Istanbul on our first program, and this was in 2015. And in Istanbul, back then, it was just the beginnings of some of this unrest that started happening. And there was more and more sort of terrorist activity happening in Istanbul. And so lots of people were getting nervous about that, and we were working with our security partner to make sure that we were safe and working through that whole process. And I was out at dinner with a couple of Turkish guys, and I was building a little relationship with them, getting to know them a little bit. And at dinner, we're sitting there talking about all different things. And they asked me, oh, yeah, where are you from? I said, I grew up in Chicago. And we're in Istanbul with these Turkish guys, which has all this imminent danger perception happening. And they said, wow, you're from Chicago. Isn't it dangerous there?
Amazing.
And I thought that was a really profound insight, right? The way that we perceive other people and cultures based on the news that we get about them is that everywhere's so dangerous, right? And when we think of other places as dangerous, it's really hard for us to empathize with them as the same or similar. And it's hard to have relationships with them. It's hard to trade with them. It's hard to stay at peace with them, right? And I think when we have that mutual understanding and connection amongst different groups of people, the world stays more peaceful, it stays more productive, and it's a better place to live in together.
Man, you nailed it. Is there a major decision with your company that you've made that you wish you had a do-over on?
All the time, but honestly, we've been able to accomplish so much in such a short period of time, and I think it's a tribute to both the power of this notion and how closely and connected people feel with it, but also really importantly, the amazing group of people on our team who've been building every single day since the beginning. We are fortunate to have such an amazing group of people building Remote Year every single day, and also fortunate to have such amazing remotes on our programs helping us, because frankly, at the beginning, we weren't the best at providing an amazing turnkey experience and an authentic local experience. We've gotten much better at it as we've added incredible people to our team, but we've been just so fortunate to so quickly make such an impact on so many people, and every day we're work to make the world a little bit more peaceful and a little bit more productive.
How many people are on your team right now?
150.
150. And how many remotes have gone through the program?
Just about 1,500.
That is an incredible number. What are you focused on in the next 6 months?
All kinds of things. The next 6 months, things that you'll see more publicly. Like I said, we just launched our 4-month experience. We have a few ideas of some interesting new products that we're going to roll out to address the needs of other people who haven't been able to participate but wanted to. So we've been doing some research there and building out some infrastructure to offer some new products. And also, we've been working more and more with companies who want to offer this to their people as part of their strategy, right, around recruiting and retention and recognition. And so we've been really working with those companies to figure out what are their needs? How does this help them solve problems? And how do we sort of migrate parts of the experience to help them solve their needs? Because we have two key stakeholders in every decision, right? It's the person coming on the program, the remote, and their company, their employer. And so we, throughout the next 6 months, are going to be pretty focused on those employers and how can we make them as successful as possible using our platform.
If you could go back on the day that you launched on June 2015 and give yourself 1 minute of advice, what would you tell yourself?
Great people. The most important thing about building something like this is to make sure you have the best possible people around, and spending all of your time finding the right people, supporting those people, and giving them everything they need to be successful is the most important thing that I can do as the CEO of this company.
Incredible. You can find Greg at remoteyear.com, on all of the social channels, Remote Year, and Greg personally on Instagram at GD Caplan. Greg, thank you very much for your time today.
Thanks, Todd.
Don't forget to hit up the online printing rock stars at printdirtcheap.com and use promo code LifeHunter for $10 off. Hey, Life Hunters, thank you for listening to this episode of Go Hunt Life. If you like the show and would like to support it, go to iTunes and do this. Subscribe to the show, leave a rating, and review it. It helps, and thank you. If you or someone that you know has quit their normal life to follow their dreams, I would love an introduction and maybe interview them on the show. You can find me at gohuntlife.com and also on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest at Go Hunt Life. Until next time, stay weird, dare greatly, and ripcord out.